It was a cold night on Lightfoot Road. The air was sharp, cutting through like tiny needles. The street was empty, silent, almost too quiet. Then, out of nowhere, a car appeared, speeding through the thick fog. Its headlights flickered as it suddenly slowed down. Before anyone could react, the door swung open, and a large cardboard box was tossed onto the road. The car vanished into the night. But why throw a box in the middle of the road? And more importantly, what was inside? After some hours, the road remained empty, silent except for the wind. Then a faint rustling came from the box. The lid shifted, and slowly, a terrified dog named Layla peeked out. She was a 3-year-old mother, and beside her, tiny puppies shivered on the cold pavement. Layla had been thrown away like trash, but she didn't care about herself. Only her babies. Her body ached, but she crawled toward them, nudging them closer, trying to keep them warm. The puppies whimpered, their tiny cries barely louder than the wind. Layla licked their little faces, her heart pounding. She had to protect them, but how? They were alone, freezing and scared. Hours passed, and danger lurked in the shadows. Then, headlights cut through the darkness. A car slowed down. The driver squinted, his eyes widening at the sight of the shivering mother and her puppies. His heart pounded. He couldn't just leave them there. Without a second thought, he pulled over and grabbed his phone. His hands trembled as he called McNeely Family Rescue and Sanctuary. "You need to come now," he said, his voice shaking. "There's a mother dog and her puppies. They won't survive the night." The rescue team wasted no time. They knew every second mattered. Jumping into their truck, they sped through the dark, hoping they weren't too late. When they arrived, their hearts sank. Layla lay on the cold ground, barely able to move. Her ribs showed through her thin body, covered in scars from a painful past. But she wasn't thinking about herself. Her tired eyes stayed on her puppies, huddled beside her. The rescuers moved fast. 2 tiny puppies, later named Aria and Valentino, were still breathing, but just barely. Their tiny bodies were weak, suffering from injuries. The rescuers gently picked them up, wrapping them in warm blankets. But the pain didn't end there. 6 other puppies hadn't survived the fall from the moving car. The team felt their chest tighten, but they couldn't stop now. As they lifted Layla into the truck, she looked at them, exhausted yet trusting. Somehow, she knew. Help had finally arrived. Back at the sanctuary, the team rushed to help. Layla and her puppies were weak, but they were safe now. Warm blankets wrapped around them, and gentle hands soothed their trembling bodies. For the first time, Layla felt something unfamiliar, comfort. She had spent her life in fear, but here, things were different. Soft voices reassured her, and every touch was filled with kindness. As the days passed, something changed. Layla, once broken and afraid, began to trust. Her tired eyes no longer searched for danger. They held hope. Her puppies, Aria and Valentino, grew stronger under the careful watch of the rescue team. Their tiny tails wagged, their playful spirits slowly returning. Layla never left their side, always watching over them. Word of their rescue spread, and something amazing happened. Donations poured in, volunteers arrived, and strangers became family. McNeely Family Rescue and Sanctuary became more than a shelter. It became a place where second chances began. The tragic incident did more than break hearts. It opened eyes. People were shocked and angry. How could someone do this to helpless animals? Demands for stricter laws grew louder. The sanctuary, along with local authorities, pushed for stronger animal protection rules. Plans were even made to install cameras on Lightfoot Road to stop future cruelty. Meanwhile, Layla and her puppies were changing. Each morning, she gently nudged Aria and Valentino awake, encouraging them to eat and explore. The once weak puppies grew stronger, their tiny tails wagging with joy. Their playful barks filled the sanctuary, bringing smiles to everyone who had fought to save them. April McNeely, the founder of the sanctuary, often watched them with a heavy heart. "There is no excuse in the world to treat animals this way," she would say, her voice a mix of sadness and determination. The sanctuary became more than just a shelter. It became a place of hope. Layla and her puppies weren't the only ones healing. The volunteers, who once felt helpless against animal cruelty, now had a purpose. Every rescue, every saved life, reminded them that kindness could change the world. One day, a local school visited the sanctuary. The children had heard Layla's story and arrived with handmade blankets and toys. They sat in a circle, their small hands gently petting the dogs. Layla, usually careful around strangers, slowly walked toward them. She sniffed their hands, then nuzzled into their laps. Letting out a soft sigh, the children smiled, their hearts full of love. Business in the area joined the mission. A pet store donated food and supplies. A veterinary clinic offered free checkups for every animal at the sanctuary. Each act of kindness brought the community closer. Layla's story had started with cruelty, but now it was proof that love, when shared, could create real change. Layla's story spread across the world, touching the hearts of animal lovers everywhere. Messages of support and donations poured in, showing just how much people cared. Social media was flooded with comments, shares, and kind words from strangers who felt connected to her journey. One day, a family visited the sanctuary with a special request. They had been following Layla's story from the start and felt a deep bond with her and her puppies. They weren't just looking for a pet. They wanted to give Layla and her little ones a home filled with love and safety. The sanctuary wanted to make sure it was the right match. The family visited several times, spending hours with Layla, Aria, and Valentino. Slowly, Layla's cautious eyes softened. She began to trust them, wagging her tail whenever they arrived. The day of the adoption was emotional. The rescuers had seen Layla at her lowest, struggling to survive, and now she was leaving with her head held high. As she walked out of the sanctuary, her tail wagged with excitement. Aria and Valentino followed closely, eager for their new adventure. Life in their new home was everything Layla had never had before. She had a soft bed to sleep on, warm meals every day, and endless belly rubs. Aria and Valentino, now renamed Scarlet and Enzo, explored their big backyard, playing and chasing each other like carefree puppies. The sanctuary continued its mission, more determined than ever. They launched new programs to teach people about kindness toward animals. They also worked with local authorities to push for stricter laws against cruelty and abandonment. Layla's journey became a powerful reminder that even the worst situations can turn around with love and care. Her story wasn't just about survival. It was about second chances, the power of kindness, and the incredible bond between humans and animals.